Greetings, Luang Por. Can you hear me?
I can, Bita. Can you hear me?
Yes, wonderful, Luang Por.
How is everyone doing? William, Karina, how are you? Good, good. Okay. Miri, can you see me? All right. Lenny? All right, there we go. Okay. So what should we do? Do some chanting first? Yeah, itipiso.
I think let us all now pay respects, Shun Xiang.
Okay, Shun Xiang.
Good evening, Luang Por. Let's all pay our respects by bowing 3 times together. First bow. Second bow. Third bow.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be with you. I'll just get this organized. Okay. Shall we start with the triple refuge at Tipiso? We'll chant that 3 times. And Bita, you'll get that up on the screen. Huh?
Luang Por, you are muted.
I'm just giving some instruction. Okay, good. So please. Yetipiso bhagava araham samma sambuddho charana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttara purisa dhamma sarati sata deva manusana Uto Bhagavati Sawakato Bhagavat Dhammo Santitiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanaiko Acha Vedita Po Vinya Diti Supatipanno Sāvaka sangho jupadipanno bhagavato Sāvaka sangho nyaya patipanno bhagavato Sāvaka sangho samici patipanno bhagavato Sāvaka yadidam chatari purisa yuga yata purisa pukala esa bhagavato Sāvaka sangho ahuneyo apahuneyo dakineyo Anjali Karaniyo Anutta Punya Ketam Loka Saditi Piso Bhagava Araham Samma Sambuddho Charana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttara Purisa Dhamma Sarati Tadeva Manusana Uto Bhagavati Sawakato Bhagavata Dhammo Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanaiko Pachatam Vedita Povinyam Iti Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka sangho Ujjapatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka sangho nyaya patipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka sangho งวาสามิจิปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆยะติตันจัตตานิปุริสยุกานิยัตถปุริสปุกขะเอสะภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆภาวันโยภาวันโยทักขิเนโยอัญจลิกะโยอนุตตรังปุญญาเกตังโลกัสสติอิติโสภะคะวะอะระหะสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชชาจารณสัมปันโนสุขโตโลกวิทูอนุตตรปุริสธัมมัสสารติสัตตาเดวะสานังพุทโธภะคะวะติสัพพะคะโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมสันติติโกอะกาลิโกเอหิปัสสิโกโอปะนะหิโกปัจจตังเวนิตาโพมิญโยอิติสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆปุจจุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆญาณปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสามิจิปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆยะติตันจัตตาริปุริสยุกานิยัตถปุริสปุกขะลาเยสัพพะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆภาวันโยภาวันโยทักขิเนโยอัญจลิกะโยอนุตตรังปุญญาเกตังโลกัสสติ So let's meditate for a half an hour or so. I'm losing my voice here, so let's see how it goes. Just a few words before we start. I've been thinking about focus, concentration, and I find more and more that the word concentration is not, it's kind of a word that doesn't work for me. So when I'm talking about meditation now, I'll use what I'll say, localize your attention. And maybe if you use the analogy of a flashlight, modern flashlights have a mechanism which can focus the lens, so you can have a wide beam, or you can have a very, very narrow beam, or you can have one between those two extremes. So when I say localize your attention, and I'll do a body meditation, I suggest I'm not asking like for a hard focus, but a kind of grounding in an area of the body, and that I'll call localize your attention. And then within that area of attention, what I would ask you to do is just let whatever sensations, physical sensations are manifesting, let them come up into consciousness. So if there's nothing there, that's fine. If there's pain, let that come into consciousness. If there's heat or warmth or whatever it might be. So the attitude of mind in this is, it is centered in the present moment on the body, but its emphasis is more on awareness itself. Because when you localize your attention, that grounds you in the present moment. But when you don't really care what that part of the body feels like, it can feel pleasant or unpleasant. It can be a strong feeling or a weak feeling. And because you're not really looking for a particular sensation in that area, then you tend to be emphasizing awareness more. That's the idea behind this. And then by moving from part to part, that just kind of refreshes that same attitude of a kind of attention which isn't looking for anything. And then I ask you to go from the shoulder maybe to the knee or whatever. So that refreshes the same attitude, just like you can refresh your computer screen if you're on some news website and you refresh it. In the same way, when you move from place to place in the body, I'm just refreshing just the same kind of awareness, which is allowing things to be just as they are. But there is a kind of localization so that the mind doesn't wander around. So if you're used to meditating like a really focusing very hard, you can do that if you want, but in this, I would suggest you try this way and just see what happens. So as you emphasize awareness more, then that kind of practice, of course, leads to a capacity to be anywhere, anytime. It doesn't really matter whether you're in traffic or you're in a quiet place, whether your body is in pain or not, because you're emphasizing awareness rather than the object of awareness. So that's the kind of theory I'm working from, okay? So let's go for it. Please take a posture that works for you. So we'll sit for about a half an hour. Yeah. So bring your attention to the way things are in the room where you are. Just begin by listening to sound. And let sound be conscious, or let sound appear in consciousness. So whatever the sound is, you're listening, but you're not really choosing a particular sound. You're choosing the sound itself, sounds, but it doesn't really matter whether the sound is soft or loud or whatever. So listening, receptive. And notice how the mind calms as soon as you do that. You get a sense of the silence behind activity. Then feel the temperature in the room, whether it's cool, you have air conditioning, or it's warm, you have in-floor heating. What's the temperature feel like? And it doesn't really matter, does it? It's the same awareness. So this has a receptive quality, but it is attentive in the moment. Bring your attention to your face. Bring your attention to your mouth. Go inside the mouth, feel the root of your tongue. Allow the sensations that are to become conscious. So you're localizing your attention. Feel the upper palate, the lower palate, gums and teeth, and the lips. Feel the whole mouth area. Let that be conscious. Let that be feeling. So you're moving away from thought and concept to bodily sensation. Now, if you're trying to find some sensation, then your eyes kind of get tight. But it doesn't really matter what the sensation is, it's the awareness that's important. Go inside your eardrums, feel the inner structures of the eardrums. Let that become conscious. So this might not be as obvious as the mouth, but that doesn't matter. It's the same awareness. Feel the outer structures of the ears. Let that be conscious. Feel both ears, the whole area, ear canal, outer structure, as a mass of sensations, vibration, in awareness. The nose, the feeling of nose, the bridge of the nose. Let the feelings come into consciousness. Both nostrils. And feel the whole area in awareness. If your eyes are becoming tense when you observe the nose, that means you're looking for something. So go to the eyes. Feel the eye sockets. Feel any tension that's there. Feel the eyes themselves. Imagine the eyes are just sort of dropping out of your head. Feel that whole area as sensation. Feel the temples. Feel any strain or pressure there. But don't try to fix it. Just let it be conscious the way it is. If there's any pain or whatever, let it be conscious. Feel the forehead. Feel the top of the head. Pressure, vibration, sensation. Go inside the skull. Feel the brain. Feel the back of the head. Feel the muscles of the lower jaw extending to the upper jaw, to the neck, that whole area. Let that be conscious. Now feel the whole head as sensation, not as concept. The whole head in awareness. Feel the neck, back of the neck, right side, left side, and throat. Whole neck area then, let it be feeling. No thought, no need to think about this. Shoulders, feel the connection. Left side of the neck to the left shoulder. Let that be feeling. Let it come into consciousness. Then the upper arm, left side, the outer, the inner, the armpit pressed against the body, the warmth there. So at each point, it's like a way station. You just stop and you rest. Conscious of these different things. So there's nothing that you're looking for. It is what it is. And we're emphasizing awareness. Left elbow. And the left forearm as sensation. Left wrist. And the left hand, the thumb, forefinger, middle finger, ring finger, and small finger. Palm of the left hand, and the whole left hand as sensation in awareness. Feel the whole left from shoulder to hand, the whole left arm. And the right side, feel the right side of the neck connected to the right shoulder. And then down the right arm, the outer and the inner, the warmth against the body as sensation. No thinking, no need to think. The right elbow. The right forearm. Wrist. Right thumb. Forefinger. Middle finger. Ring finger. Small finger. Palm of the right hand. And the whole right hand as sensation, as vibration. And then the whole right side from shoulder to hand. Radiating, vibrating. Go to the throat, inside the throat, enter into the chest area. Feel the whole chest area, feel the outer structures of the chest, the front of the chest, and the back. And then the inside, the organs, the lungs and heart. Feel the whole chest area as a mass of sensations. No thinking, let go of thought. The abdominal area, front, and the lower back, and the organs, stomach, intestines, liver, kidneys, whatever you feel there, as sensation. Feel the pelvic bones, pelvic area. And the organs in the pelvic area. Feel the weight of the body on the cushion or the chair as sensation in awareness. Feel the left hip and the thigh and the left knee, lower leg, left ankle and foot. The whole left side is one mass of sensations. Right side, right hip, the thigh, the right thigh, knee, right knee, lower leg, right ankle, and right foot, the whole right leg. I'll bring all these together, the two legs, the torso, arms, neck, and head. I feel the whole body as sensations, not as concept, in awareness. Notice the changing nature of all that in awareness. Now be that awareness itself, aware of change. So there's other things, there's sound coming and going, thoughts coming and going, bodily sensations. Be awareness itself. Now that awareness, does it have a boundary? Is there an outer edge to awareness? And space, does space have an outer boundary? Is there an edge to space? Does awareness have a center? A point, is there a point? Does space have a center or a point? So let awareness be space, let space be aware. Be that awareness. And just no change. Things coming and going within the space of consciousness or awareness. Nothing to do, nothing to get rid of. And then if you get a bit lost, then come back to the breath. Feel the breath as sensation. See if you can just sit and notice conditions coming and go in awareness. So your refuge is awareness itself. Okay, I'll be quiet. We can sit quietly for the rest with those ideas.
Thank you, Luang Por. So now request to the Dhamma Talk. Shun Xiang.
Ramajaloka Dipati Sahampati Katanjaliya Divarangaya Jata Santi Dasata Parajaka Jadika Dese Dhamma Anukampi Mampaja.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang sami. So hello again. Hope you're all doing well. This meeting will be, unfortunately, the final meeting for me of the year. I'll be traveling to Thailand on Monday. And then January and February, I'm kind of not available. So my next meeting here through Bita's generosity will be in March, I think, first week of March. So I've enjoyed kind of getting to know you in this curious way. And I hope that teaching is of some help. I think last year at this time I was saying, I think I gave somewhat facetiously, I said, how about some homework? And if those of you who might have been listening, I suggested your homework could be contemplating resistance. And that relates to vibhava, tanha, and much of life, the way we resist life. And the idea of taking a theme is that a theme is bigger than the storyline. I might resist something about my family life, or might resist something about the pain in my body, or something in the political scene or social scene. So there's all kinds of things we resist in life. Not that that's bad, but to actually understand resistance as a force in the way we interact and react to life seems to me quite helpful. And then the storylines are what they are. But when you can contemplate Dharma in this more deep way, it's not just about the particulars and stories. It's just the way the mind works, and what leads to peace and what leads to confusion, what leads to happiness and unhappiness. So that was my idea last year, and everyone passed the exam. So I don't do failures. But a lot of you are quite dedicated to practice. You put a lot into it. And many of you I know quite well. So first, I think I would suggest a huge investment in your morning practice. And I do mean huge, not like 15 minutes. If you're really dedicated to the Dharma, then a 15-minute meditation is not bad, but it's not great. And if you think about developing anything, developing the craft of being a lawyer, or the craft of home economics, the skills you learn as a mother or a father, weaving or carpentry or driving a car, it all takes time. It all takes time to do it well. And what's going to be more important than your own mind? It's got to be the most important thing. So I would say the thing about morning meditation is that if you invest a lot of time into that, if you have the health and the possibility and the resources, when we live in social situations where we have enough food and we have shelter and we have medicine and we have good friendships and we have a civil society, we're very, very fortunate because we have resources then that we can use for our benefit and the benefit of others. Obviously, if you're on the borders of Poland and Belarus, you're a Syrian refugee, it's a whole different situation. But most of us here are fortunate that way. So how to use that good fortune? How can we use this good fortune of having this opportunity to practice Dhamma? So one obvious way to do that is to share your resources with others. If you have access, to share that and to practice a life of sensitivity to others and sensitivity to the planet. And these are a beautiful foundation, a necessary foundation for meditation. And I find that most of the people I meet are like that. They do have a really generous heart and they have a real commitment to sila. So I sort of just say that's a given for the people I know. And I'm very impressed with the kindness and generosity I always receive, and I see the things that people do. So keeping that in mind, that's a good thing to celebrate. The fact that in our Buddhist circles, these values are given high attention and honored not just as something that we pay lip service to, but that we actually do. And that creates a kind of sense in the heart of being a responsible human being, doing one's bit for the sake of society and the planet and one's family and so on. And that kind of mature confidence is very, very necessary, obviously, and it's a good thing. It can be overwhelming. And so that's where right livelihood comes in. And I think right livelihood has to include some time for meditation. Some, like Ajahn Sona says, not just quality time, quantity time. If you said do quality time of 10 minutes of meditation, good, but quantity time is like put an hour in the morning at least. Now, what happens when you do that, when you invest like a serious chunk of your time? Well, your family complains. Maybe, I don't know. My family doesn't complain. They say, go for it. I'm lucky. But when you do that, that sets up your day. You notice what the moods of the mind are as you come out of the sleep state. You pay attention to the sense of self which is arising in the morning. Maybe it's a worrying sense of self, or it's a excited sense of self, or an unforgiving sense of self, or an anxious sense of self, all these different ways that the sense of self gets manifest in consciousness. And you can see it if right from the get-go, you really awaken to the way things are. That's a huge service for the rest of the day and the rest of your family, whoever you're living with. If you don't really kind of notice the arising of ego states and that, then of course they just seep into the mind and continue on in their habitual way. So then that awakening, as most of you know, I do a lot of yoga nidra, lying down meditation. And actually we have a yoga teacher here visiting who was, we had a lovely chat yesterday about yoga nidra. And that lying down posture, which I often talk about, is very valuable in the morning. If you can develop that, sometimes like if you have an older body and your knees aren't great, or you just don't want to get out of your duvet, if you develop that lying posture, you find that your mind can be quite bright. quite bright in that lying posture. So do try to develop Savasana, the corpse posture. And in that, try to keep the body still. Find a way that's comfortable, and then try not to fidget with your body. Try not to roll over. Try not to scratch yourself. Just be very, very still in the body and see what happens. So then you make that posture a part of your meditative territory. Then the mornings can be quite fruitful, because quite often you wake up, unless you're really, really exhausted, quite often you wake up early, and then that time, and you don't feel like maybe sitting cross-legged, that time becomes very, very valuable. And if you work on yoga nidra, lying meditation, then you'll find that when your body's tired, your mind is often not tired. Your mind has lots of energy for meditation. And then you find the amount of formal practice that you do is increases. Now, why do we stress formal practice? And by formal practice, I mean some posture, like sitting or walking or lying down or standing, some formal posture, because the formal postures are a kind of container within which awareness can be practiced. Now, you could say, yeah, I can practice awareness bird watching. Yeah, you can, but usually you're bird watching. And which is fun, which is not wrong. Or I can practice meditation jogging. Yeah, that I can't do it anymore. I never did it, actually, never jogged. But there's something about just the body having a kind of fixed posture, like sitting cross-legged, sitting in a chair, that is really heightens the kind of awareness we're trying to develop. Because the kind of awareness we're trying to develop is not an awareness which is achieving anything. And we're not trying to achieve a goal or sort anything out or figure anything out. What we're emphasizing is awareness itself, rather than the objects of awareness. I keep referring to that. So if you can invest, maybe you already do this, but if you invest a good chunk of time in the morning, then that sets up your day. Quite often what happens is you have material coming up of conflict at work, maybe, and that came up from yesterday and the day before. So you know that's going to come up again, but somehow in the morning meditation, you've awoken to that problematic part of your life, and you're more aware of that problematic part of your life because it created this conflict or this memory that you've had. But more than just that, that's the sort of functional, psychological part of a Buddhist practice, kind of, what do they call it? Housekeeping or maintenance work. There's the kind of words that they use in the kind of meditation school. You do your maintenance work, right? Or housekeeping, inner housekeeping. But of course, the Buddha wasn't like, I think he was kind of beyond that, right? He offered something which was profoundly transcendent. And this gets to the core of meaning in a Buddhist lifestyle. And for me as a monk, say, when I took the robe, I ordained for the realization of Nibbana. That's in our chanting. And so as a monk, that's my duty and my honor and my interest. So like as a monk, say like with Ajahn Chah or Luang Por Viradhammo, they would never talk worldly dharmas. They never talk politics or those kind of social issues that arise now, or vaccines or all of that. They would never go there. They would never talk about that. You say in Thailand now you have the reds and the yellows, is it? Like two factions? Now what happens if a monk starts to talk politics is that he alienates that part of society which is on the other side. So it's very divisive. And so the idea is to always emphasize Dharma. That's our duty as monks. And what is Dharma? What is Dharma? Well, maybe this could be part of the homework for a whole year. And I would say take the word Akaliko. not a matter of time. We just chanted in the reflections on Dharma. Akaliko. Why do we talk about that? What's the significance of that word? Well, you might say that it's because the Dharma is like, it was relevant at the time of the Buddha, now it's relevant now. It's relevant in Malaysia, it's relevant in Ottawa. You could put it that way, which would be true. But I think it has a deeper import. It has a deeper significance, because I think that points to what Nibbana is all about, what the transcendence is all about, what Amaravati, or Amatadhamma or Amaro, these words that we use, are all pointing to the Buddha's realization. So the way we talk about the Buddha's realization is quite often through the Four Noble Truths. And so the cessation of suffering comes about through the abandonment of craving. So you can see that. I think that you may not be able to do it, but you can see that if I can be at peace with the way things are, and my mind isn't just driven by wantings, then there's a tremendous possibility for peace. So that's one way we talk about it, and that's the major way. But another way that we talk about it, and it's talked about less, is as you've often heard, perhaps myself or Luang Por Amaro or others, or Luang Por Sumedho say, there is the unconditioned, the uncreated, the unoriginated, the unborn Nibbana. If there was not the unoriginated, the uncreated, the unborn, the deathless, there would be no release from suffering, from the world. So that language is the language of where Akaliko comes in, Akaliko Dhamma. And why that's important is because even though we contemplate the Four Noble Truths and tanha and the limitations of tanha, quite often we are still looking, when we think of peace, we are looking for an experience of peace. We're looking for an object. And the teachings around anicca, dukkha, anatta are adamantly saying that if it changes, it can't be the realization the Buddha is talking about. Can't be. And what changes is time. Right? Anything that I am searching for in time, like tomorrow, cannot be it. It can't be where the answer lies. It can't be tomorrow. Now, tomorrow does arrive, and I can create causes and conditions where tomorrow can be better, undoubtedly. So how do you combine time and timelessness? How do you bring that together? Well, what we are doing in this time-bound practices, so I say practice a lot in the morning, and you'll say, well, that's not timeless, that's in the morning. And then I say to you, practice for an hour at least in the morning. Well, you see, that's about time, that's not timeless. Yeah, but what are we doing in that hour? What are we doing in an hour? I would say we're practicing timelessness. So if, this instruction I offered you about awareness of the body, and the way I introduced that, and the reason I did that was to bring you to the timelessness of awareness. Like awareness, you don't kind of practice now so you can know awareness tomorrow. You practice now for awareness now, correct? So then the question is, how can I, as practice, how could I make awareness a sustained possibility by practicing now? And that's the difficulty. I think the awakening to the way things are, Luang Por Sumedho's phrase, it's like this, that's fantastic. And that's what we all, I think, as we listen to Luang Por Sumedho, we're really inspired by that. At least I am, our community is very inspired by that. But isn't the question that how can I get those moments, like 4 of those moments together? Or how could I get 5 of those moments together? Or a half hour of those moments together? Or an hour of those moments together? It's like this, it's like this, it's like this. And that's why we do formal practice. Formal practice isn't about achieving a goal. It's about training the mind in this timeless knowing of the way things are. It's not about the quality of the way things are. Desire is about things. I want a better quality than I have now. I want a different quality, and desire is fine. It's cold right now here in Tisarana, and I got my winter coat on. That's allowed. That's a desire, and desire is there for a reason. It takes care of it. But desire desire does not point to the transcendent, does not point to peace. It points to objects. But awareness doesn't point to objects. And you can feel a pain in the right shoulder, and awareness is the same. You can feel no pain in the right shoulder. Is the awareness the same? No, the pleasure is different. It's much more pleasure to have less pain than more pain, so we move around that. But what is beyond pain and pleasure? And that is awareness itself. And when we trust in awareness, and we know pleasure and pain coming and go without hurting ourselves, like in meditation, I often refer to this. Haven't there been times in your meditation where you experience unpleasant sensation, but you witness it from awareness, you don't run away from it, and you walk away from the meditation feeling peaceful? Haven't you found? I found that. I feel restless, or maybe there's some cacophonic noise outside or some seeming disturbance, and I say, oh no, disturbance feels like this, or discomfort feels like this, and I stay with like this. It's like this, that's like this, and what's the result? Well, the result is peace, because awareness is peaceful. The experience itself was pleasant, unpleasant, pleasant, unpleasant, extremely unpleasant, whatever. So without hurting myself, I always say that, I can be with an unpleasant, let's say, like some loud noise, like if you're in your apartment and in your home and they're doing construction work next door. We'll be building our meditation hall next year. We're starting in April. There's going to be a lot of noise. Is noise a hindrance to meditation? Well, then you're really stuck, aren't you? And like, is noise the problem, or is it the desire not to have the noise? So when I meditate, and then the workers are drilling something, I mean, I'm going to have a lot of joy, I think, to hear that. But let's say I'm a person who thinks that meditation has to be done in a silent environment, and then is not the silent environment already threatened by noise? Isn't that the nature of all silent environments? All silent environments are anicca, dukkha, anatta. So I hold to this idea of a silent environment being important for my meditation, and then I'm always afraid of noise or resisting noise. Why don't they be quiet? I'm trying to meditate, right? You can see the fallacy there is it's still based on the desire for silence or tranquility. But awareness itself is bigger than the circumstances of quiet. Like you can have a circumstantial situation which is quiet, like your own home, or you can have circumstances which is very, very noisy. But the awareness which knows both is a deeper peace than just circumstance. I mean, that's obvious, isn't it? Hope. So if you take that as the model, right, then you see that if one has trust and faith in awareness, which is not a matter of time. That's why this word, I think, akaliko, is so important. That awakening to the way things are, you don't do that tomorrow. You do it now and then now again. Akaliko Dhamma, it's not a matter of time. What is a matter of time is that your kids make it to school on time, that you go to your dental appointment, that I don't miss the plane from Montreal to Switzerland on Monday. That's a matter of time. And please do that. I'll certainly try to get to the plane on time. But if there's a traffic jam in Montreal, and I'm on the way to the airport and I'm feeling anxiety, then, oh, anxiety feels this way. Anxiety is like this. So I'm always taking refuge in awareness, but still being a kind of reasonable human being and getting to the airport on time. And if you get that confused, you're going to get really in trouble. But isn't it like when we ordain as bhikkhus, we ordain as monks, we are ordained not to save the world, but to realize nibbana. That's our brief. Now, sometimes lay people say, "Oh, nibbana is for monks, or it's for arahants, or it's for the great, the great beings." And sometimes culture says, "Well, you have to be something special to realize nibbana." Well, do you? Is that true? Or is not awareness always available to you? Is your awareness less available than Ajahn Chah's awareness was available? Is Luang Por Sumedho's awareness less available than your awareness? It's the same, isn't it? Right? If I have a toothache and you don't have a toothache, I mean, I'd rather have your situation, but I have my situation. But is our awareness any different? The toothache is different, right? That's different. But what about awareness? So then the question is, do we trust in awareness or do we trust in desire? And when desire comes up, desire is about time. I don't want this, I want something else. And then that's the real key. Are you awake enough to trust in awareness when there is unfulfilled desire? Because unfulfilled desire is not fun. Fulfilled desire is fun, it's nice. If you do yoga nidra, if you do the lying practice, then as you lie there, you want to itch, you want to scratch. It's a difference. You want to scratch yourself. That's desire. That's desire to scratch. It's not illegal, it's allowed. But what if you just notice the desire to scratch in the lying posture? What would happen? Well, you might get a release of energy. That happens quite commonly. But you'd be aware of desire as an object. And you would see the desire cease. Now, obviously, if you get a cramp in your leg or whatever, you can move. But in the whole scheme of things, there's a lot of desires come up and you can just witness them if you are in a meditative posture. So this, again, why we meditate, why we emphasize these formal postures, because desire does come up. Desire to distract, to read something, or desire to get rid of pain, or to get rid of thinking. Desire is always coming up, but now you have this kind of formal posture, kind of lying down or sitting. Now you can notice desire. And you can notice that desire is an object. You don't have to be the subject. And you can notice the cessation of desire. And as you notice the cessation of desire, awareness is emphasized, and the objects of awareness are no longer emphasized. So the objects of your experience become less and less important. What becomes more and more important is awareness. Awareness. It's like this, it's like this, it's like this. And that is timeless, but you're practicing it in time. In other words, you're getting better at it. You're getting better and better at it. And then that, for me at least, if I do that in the morning, and I mean, obviously this is my lifestyle, and that's why I kind of signed up to do this, but that gives my life a lot of meaning. I mean, my life has a lot of meaning because of loving relationships, because of creativity, because of good memories, and because of being able to teach. That has a lot of meaning that way. So I'm very, very grateful. But the real, that kind of deeper meaning of transcendence is always kind of fired up in the mornings. Because that's why I ordained. That's what the Buddha was saying. This is possible for us human beings. And then if I have that kind of contemplation, what is timeless? What is not a matter of time? Akaliko Dhamma. And that kind of questioning is I think where right understanding is. Like, right understanding isn't just a intellectual agreement about what the Buddha taught. That's an agreement, that's intellectual, that's fine. But I think right understanding is like an awakening using language to the present moment in a proper way. So when I asked the question, like, you know, some of the little games I was playing this year, I said, is presence ever absent? And that's a very interesting question for me. Is presence ever absent? And what does that do? To my mind, it brightens it into silence, into knowing, into awareness. And then that to me would be right understanding. Not because I agree on a Buddhist viewpoint, but because now the mind is awake to the way things are. And then how can I expand that for more moments? But I find if I do that in the morning, first of all, I enjoy it. And I didn't enjoy meditation when I was a young monk because I had a lot of untrained mind. So there's that, certainly. But I enjoy it in a way because it's answering the question of the Buddha's teaching and his aspiration and his realization and my aspiration. And because it answers that question, the mornings are deeply meaningful. Beyond the craziness of the world, beyond all the political views and opinions that people have, and all the social arguments that people have, this meaning is transcendent. It's not about who's right or wrong. It's a transcendent meaning. And if you inform your morning like that in your own way, then that meaning starts to carry through the day. And the tendency to attach to views and opinions and all the arguments that humanity gets into, that gets attenuated. I'm not interested. I'd rather do the silence, which doesn't mean that you're stupid. You still have opinions and views, but the investment in it, I am right and they're wrong, all that nonsense. You say, well, that's just an object. That's just ego. That's just becoming. That's not the silence of awareness. And so the day's activities become more and more imbued with meaning about what is Dharma, what is Akalika, what is not a matter of time. And as you do that in this beautiful life that we have, this beautiful opportunity, that kind of space then actually makes you more available to be a better citizen in the planet. Because you're not invested in a lot of opinions, but your heart is content because it has meaning. And then you're very available. It's not that you're less available, you're actually more available for doing good works and for caring for your family and whatever needs to be done. So the homework is whatever makes you happy. But like as a monk, I would hope that all of us, not just monks, or monks at least, go beyond the social. Although we live a good social life, we go beyond the psychological. Although we are psychologically healthy, we go beyond the conventional to the transcendent nibbana, the realization of the timeless peace of the mind. That's our possibility. And Luang Por Sumedho's suggestion, you kind of like the emails I write now, like I was supposed to go to England and my plans got changed, so I didn't make it to England on this trip. And everyone I wrote to apologizing, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. They said, oh, we miss you, but it's like this. And then, oh, I wish you could have been here, but it's like this. And it was lovely to hear this echo of Luang Por's voice in everyone's email. It was really, really great. He is such a brilliant teacher because he's offering us this. He's offering us a practice, not a position, isn't it? You know, he's not kind of fatalistically saying, oh, the world is terrible, it's like this. No, he's saying, wake up, it's like this. Wake up, it's like this. And these formal practices that we do in the formal postures is making that a stronger reality, a reality in our lives. So I guess, yeah, I'll leave that there for you to consider.
Thank you, Luang Por. Han Dhamayam O Vadagatha Sadhu Karang Kadamase Sadhu 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 Anumodami.
Once again, Numodana Luang Por for your generous and wise guidance throughout this another difficult year for 2021. We're all very appreciative of your time and also really your willingness and consistent hand in practice. So to my brothers and sisters here in the community, today is like what Luang Por say, is the last meeting of the year for us with him in this setting. If you do have got any burning question, I invite you to please ask and clarify so that we would all remember the homework. And it is like one, I'll tell you, Luang Por is very astute and he's very sharp. He doesn't need to speak with you. He just needs to look at you and to know how much you have improved or not improved in your practice. So trust me, he can even read through your writings. So if you have got any burning questions, please feel free to ask.
Non-burning questions.
Anyone? Just click on your raise hand button.
Simmering questions.
No questions? Sure. I'm quite sure. Don't be shy.
Any questions? No one? Do you have anyone? No?
Anyone?
Got a question? I got a question here. Here we go. From the locals. Okay. Nitya is here. She's going to ask a question.
Keeping awareness with care and wholesome thoughts. Keeping awareness with care.
Okay.
I was wondering.
Interesting.
It seemed very interesting.
Yeah. So Nitya's question is that she's been reading Luang Por Sumedho's, Luang Por Sucitto's book Parami, which is really a fabulous compilation of the 10 paramitas. And in that, he is saying that you should treat awareness with care. Right? I didn't write that book, so I could just give my own riff on it, as it were. But if you think about the word, if I think about the word care, it has a quality of attention, doesn't it? It's not demanding. Like if I look at that Buddha Rupa over the other side of the room and with a sense of caring, then I take it in a way that's not judgmental, I suppose. And I allow it to be just what it is because I care for it. So, I mean, you have to ask Ajahn Sucitto next time you see him. But I would say that from what comes up in my mind is that quite often awareness isn't caring, it can be awareness conjoined with judgment. Maybe that's what he's pointing to, but that can be a very real problem where you are like, I might be aware of some inner, like let's say, some lack of forgiveness. Even that, I can't forgive so-and-so because they hurt me. And then that I could be aware of this not wanting to forgive, but I could be also very judgmental of that, right? And so if I actually cared for the feeling of not wanting to forgive, that would be a way that I'd actually be aware of. And that is obviously a big problem, isn't it? We can know what's going on, but we can be trying to get rid of it. We can be critical of it. We can be analyzing it. There's a lot of that goes on. We're just analyzing our own states of mind or whatever. But just this is sort of pure, open awareness. So again, I don't know if Ajahn Suchita was talking about that, but my references to body meditation is let this become conscious, would have a caring attitude to it, right? Because you're allowing it to be just as it is. And if we use that word then in that body awareness, then that should be developing a particular attitude of awareness, which then would become stronger irrespective of what's going on in your life, right? So the idea of meditation practice is you develop wholesome states of mind, which then carry on, right? Rather than that just being incidental or whatever. Write to him.
Thank you so much.
Write him a letter. He'd love to answer. Just write a letter to where is he? He's at Chithurst. So maybe get an answer. Okay, thank you for the question. All right. So we have one.
Yes, we do. Li Hui.
Li Hui, you have a question?
Li Hui, can you unmute yourself?
There she
Yes.
goes. Okay,
Can you hear me?
there you go. Okay, I can hear you.
Hello, Bob. I want
Hi.
to ask about the homework about looking at your resistance. So if I have resistance towards like breath meditation, do I like not do it entirely, or like do I just follow like the meditation that you have been leading us? Then when there is like when you happen to go to the breath, and then when you happen to see the aversion, and then you observe it. Yeah. So my question is, if I have aversion, do I take a break from breath meditation?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank
you don't want to force yourself. You don't want it to be an imposition of willpower. So there is, there's something about developing a way of meditating which suits your character. So resistance to breath meditation, a lot of people have that. So in terms of, I think what you have to look for in finding a meditation method or technique or object is that you are willing to look at things like restlessness within the posture that you're doing, because meditation does, like let's say you're an active young person and you spend a lot of time on an iPhone, texting or looking stuff up, or so you're used to looking at an object that's stimulating. So when you sit down and meditate, whatever object of meditation you use, won't be stimulating in that sense. It'll be neutral, and it's supposed to be neutral. So then if you try to then control your mind with the meditation object to make it not restless, you'll feel resistance to the meditation object. So you have to kind of step back and irrespective of the type of meditation you're doing, you have to kind of accept, well, the mind is going to have restlessness. The mind, you're not going to want to sit still for the half an hour. You want to get up and go. And don't try to get rid of that. Try to be conscious of it. Just like if after 5 minutes you're thinking, why did I ever start meditation? I could be doing something useful. Then stay another 5 minutes, but look at the feeling of not wanting to do it. Right? And that really doesn't matter. But if you try to force your mind to be peaceful by focusing on the breath, then that won't work. It'll just make you more and more tense. So first of all, accept that, I don't really want to do this, say. And this is a feeling of not wanting to do it. Do it a little bit longer, then get up and go. And so you're looking at the moods of the mind that are coming up, rather than being so concerned about the meditation object. The meditation object is to kind of get you into the present moment. But the more important thing is like, what's the sense of self creating? Like, is there a lot of self-thinking, a lot of thinking? What's the mood behind that? And just try to identify that, saying, aversion or worry or resistance, and then see what does that feel like in the body. So if you can, rather than using meditation to control your emotions and make the mind calm in a kind of controlled way, can you use meditation to explore more? So when you sit down, what is the mood now? What is the predominant mood now? It's I'm really busy. My mind's really busy. Wow. Then busy mind. I wonder, how does my body feel when the mind's busy? Or I'm really sleepy. I can't keep my head up. This is horrible stuff. What does the body feel like when it's sleepy? So your attitude is more like exploring the mind, and what happens to the mind when you're in a situation of formal practice. How does that? And then the exploration is actually interesting. But I think all of us, when we began meditation, I certainly did, I tried to control my mind by watching the object of meditation, and it was horrible. It didn't work. So breathing is simply just so you're in the present moment. So if you use breath meditation, just say, oh, the breath is like this. I want, something very, very open and general, but what's the mood of the mind? And where does the breath feel? What does it feel like in the body? So my intuition is the issue is around control rather than the object of meditation. So then you can do things like, just notice sound, what's sound like? Or just stay in a chair for 10 minutes. What's it feel like to stay in something really, really general? And allow yourself to feel restless or fed up, because if you don't do that, if you don't allow the mind just to bring forth some of its accumulated stresses, then the more you distract and you don't let that come up, the more you need distraction, and you get more and more stressed. So if you see meditation as also just releasing stuff, stuff comes up, and you had an argument at work, or your family's having some difficulty, your whole being is holding that, is carrying that, and you have to have some kind of a space where it can come out. So then just welcome it. Just welcome restlessness. I feel terrible. Fine, come up. So you're very open to that kind of thing, and then it's more an exploration. Well, how do I really feel right now? What is my mind really like now? Without a judgment and without trying to control it. I think that's the biggest mistake of the word concentration. We use that word concentration, and then we try to concentrate on the breath in order to have the mind shut up. And then we feel resistance. Yeah, because it's violent. It's violent. Whereas loving kindness is always okay. Kind of like Nietzsche is asking about caring. I got to care for this moment, even though it's terribly difficult. I'm going to care for how it feels to feel resistance or whatever. So you make it more that kind of exploring attitude. It gets much more interesting. But it is, my early years of meditation, I don't know how long you've been meditating, but my early years are very difficult because I had a restless mind and it wasn't trained, and I had lots of kind of greed, hatred, delusion that would come into consciousness. And I wasn't a bad person. I was just untrained mind. And the monastery really helped because I had to just stay there. I could jump the wall and disrobe, I suppose, but I never chose that. I just had to be there, and I had to watch restlessness, and I'm really grateful for that now. But when you're on your own, it's much tougher because you got no one watching over you, right? It's much tougher. But there's a great profit in just being able to be restless and just watching it for a while. You start to appreciate it. So kind of stay the course if you can, and be patient with it. Be patient with it, and you'll learn. You do learn. We all learn. Okay. All right. Great.
Okay.
Show me.
Yes, I'd like to invite Sister Shomi to please unmute yourself.
Luang Por, in the context of the five hindrances, doubt is one of them. And doubt is frequently refers to the teachings of the Buddha, doubt in the teachings of the Buddha. But in my personal experience, I find that it is self-doubt that gets in the way most of the time. And I think my experience is not unusual. So the question is self-doubt, or is doubt is doubt in the context of the five hindrances, does it cover self-doubt?
Oh, yes, definitely. Because when we say that you have no doubt in the teaching, it's not that you don't have doubt, but that you know doubt is an object. So when self-doubt comes up, it's an object in awareness, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like a sound. The sound is an object in awareness. But self-doubt and doubt itself is much more deluding. So it has the characteristics of moha. Right? And why is it deluding? Because we believe in it with thought. And because we believe in it with thought, it's really hard to see it as an object. And so then we run with it, we get caught up into it, and then we try to solve the self-doubt with more thinking. Because that's what we do with doubt. But the problem is that creates more thinking, and thinking begets more doubt. And so it's a kind of hopeless cycle. So what you have to kind of learn how to do is just to label it first, rather than try to fix it. And the fixing usually comes through the desire to analyze it. And then that leads to more thinking and more doubt. So if you can just step back and say, doubt feels this way, I don't know. And then your mind will, yeah, but no, I don't know. Doubt feels this way. And that begins to put the kind of little bit of awareness into a very difficult problem. And that's the problem of attachment to thought. But now you've got a little bit of light, and that you're seeing doubt. It doesn't matter what you're doubting, whether you're doubting your own capacity as a citizen or as a mother or as a meditator, it's still doubt. And it's driven by I thinking, my thinking. And the I thinking, my thinking is what we call attachment. So when you can step back and say, oh, doubt, this is doubt, then it'll be very hard not to try to think about it. So you keep coming back, doubt feels this way. And you come back to Luang Por Sumedho's phrase, doubt is like this, it's like this. Yeah. And then if you do that, you have more chance of seeing that doubt is not permanent. It comes up, hangs about for too long, and then leaves. So it's not a permanent thing, it's an object. So the more you can see doubt as an object, then you can use doubt skillfully. Right? So you can doubt the teaching. You say, well, what does the Buddha really mean by that? I wonder. That's a good doubt, because that brings you to inquiry. But the doubt that we're talking about in terms of Dharma is when you do not see doubt itself as anicca dukkha anatta. You don't see it as a sankhara. You see it as a problem. My problem, I have to solve it. Now, if you didn't have doubt, you'd be a moron. So doubt is actually a good thing, right? If you couldn't doubt, you'd be really in trouble. My gosh. So doubt is necessary in the living of life, and it's skillful in the questioning of the teaching. But if you're just in intellectual analysis all the time, that's just more thinking. So the way we use doubt in Buddhism is we bring up a question and then we observe from the question. So the question around doubt, you could ask yourself, is it permanent? Is doubt permanent? And that immediately gets you out of the self-view, out of the self-thinking. Okay, it's just permanent. And you'll find you get lost in doubt, and then you'll awaken. Okay, is doubt permanent? And that keeps bringing you to awareness. Another thing we do is we look at body, at how the body feels. And doubt is much more subtle than anger, say. Anger and fear, you feel really strongly in the body. But doubt, thinking, you also feel in the body. Thinking, you feel in the brain. And you feel tension in the face. So if you become more and more sensitive, if you do yoga nidra or you do body meditation, and would bring a lot of sensitivity to your eyes, to your mouth, to your jaw, and become really receptive to that. And in your meditation, then when thought starts to rev up in that way, you'll notice tensions there. So that the body becomes a kind of a symptomatic way of noticing that you're thinking a lot, and not trying to get rid of the thinking, but going to the body itself, relaxing the muscles of the eyes or the face. So those two ways where you notice doubt as an object, you have to do it again and again, because this is a very powerful habit. And that's what basically thinking takes you to more doubt. Now, if you are a computer programmer, or you're a philosopher, or you know, whatever you are, you're going to be using doubt for your livelihood. You're going to be questioning things and analyzing things, and how can I fix this and how can I do that, or what's the meaning there and there. Self-doubt is very destructive. It's quite often driven by childhood experiences, by cultural biases, you know, all kinds of other things will drive self-doubt. And it seems so real. It seems so very real. Quite often it's underpinned by fear. Various kinds of fears might be pushing the self-doubt. So the more you can just label it, say doubt feels this way, and then see, what does the body present? Is there a historical narrative there, cultural? Quite often we don't even see where these come up. You know, they've been programmed into us by culture, family, don't even know where it's coming from. So it can be quite sticky. But the fact that you're aware of it is the huge thing, isn't it? You know, it kind of dominates a lot. And okay, I'm going to work on this for the next 5 years. So you got 5 years of homework. You don't need a new program. But seriously, it's. But think about how much of your suffering is caught up in self-doubt. You know, some percentage of your suffering is self-doubt. Let's say it's 50%. Well, if you understand this one, that's 50% of your suffering finished with. Seems like a good investment. But the thing is, if you just believe in the storylines of self-doubt, they're endless. They're just endless. They just go on and on and on. But self-doubt itself, as an object, is just one thing. And you get to know it really, really well. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You can send me a letter in 5 years.
I will.
Okay. See how you're doing.
Right.
Miri or Ben? Who's first?
Yeah. It is
Both from Australia.
Yes, both from Australia. Ben is first.
Ben, how are you, Ben? Long time no see.
Ben, can you unmute yourself, Ben?
Yes, I have unmute. Have
Yes,
I?
Yes, wonderful.
Okay.
Happy to see you
Luang
here,
Hi,
Ben.
Ben.
Luang Por, greetings from Melbourne. Got a simple question. I wonder what's your simple answer. It's awareness separate from thought.
What do you think? That was the homework I gave you. I can't give you the answer.
That's what I've been contemplating for since maybe since August.
Right.
You know, the
Well,
Malaysian retreat.
I think that kind of question has to be held in silence. And it's a kind of a sister or a brother to the question, is presence ever absent? And where that comes up very importantly is when as a meditator, you notice you're thinking, then quite often there's the judgment, I shouldn't be thinking, and that I am the producer of thought. I am the manufacturer of thought. And that's what you challenge with that kind of question, is that actually when you're really aware, awareness knows thought, and awareness is never absent. So thought comes and goes, but awareness doesn't come and go. Presence doesn't come and go. And so the definition of me being the thinker is the problem. I'm someone who's thinking I have to get rid of thought. And you unravel that one through that attention, through that point of attention where you notice you've been thinking and your mind says, I'm thinking too much. A sense of self is created with the assumption that I am the producer of thought. And that's what my hope was around that question, that it would show you that thought, you are not the producer of thought. There's no one producing it. Thought is productive by itself, but awareness never goes. Presence is never absent. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, Ben, nice to see you.
Take the narrative of I off the
Yes, exactly.
meditation. Thank you.
Exactly, yeah. Okay. There you go. Miri, how are you doing?
I'm okay.
There you go. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I just wanted to say for a long time, thank you to Bita for hosting these. Really, they're really wonderful. And thank you to you, Luang Por, for being hosted. So is my questions about Akaliko, the timeless, the homework. So it's really not an object of meditation, but it's going into the nature of the subject. Would that be right?
Yeah, yes. And it's to take you away from the objects to that which is objectless. Yes, definitely.
Yes.
How, like, I'll ask my linguist here. Akaliko, timeless, is that sufficient? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So as a philosopher, Miri, does that makes sense, right? Because that's what you write about.
Yeah.
And do you use that as a direct access to the subject or to the knowing or whatever?
Yes. So the timeless, the presence is never absent. It never comes. It never goes. So it's timelessly ever present. So to me, it's a direct portal to the feeling of being and knowing, and which is beyond the objects. It's the awareness that's always there.
Brilliant. I wish I could say it so well. Direct portal, I'll remember that. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. And that portal is just, that's the thing. It's there all the time. Just have to remember it. So the homework is remembering the portal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you give homework like that in your classes?
No, I just do the intellectual stuff. It's more like a finger pointing. I'm no, yeah.
But do you do that with your students sometimes? Do you play around with them with those kind of questions?
Maybe I should. I'm very kind of wary of putting on the meditation teacher's hat, because I'm just trying to teach them the philosophy. So I'm not qualified in that sense. But maybe I should play around a little bit at the edges.
It's great fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for your question. That's very, very helpful. Okay.
Thank you.
Do my best to David.
Yes, he's listening.
Oh, okay. All right. I think we've done it, huh? Bita, any others? Seems it. Yes, Bita, we're all so grateful for your generosity and kindness. Do you want to retire, or are you up for it in March?
I'm accessible and available to you and to any other Sangha who wants to use it. It is really an honor and a privilege to be able to be of service. It's not about me, it's about the community. And there is a lot of people out there who is hungry and thirsty for the Dhamma. So if this vehicle is of service, please use it. I'm very grateful.
Shall we all say sadhu to Bita? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right.
Well, thank you.
So I can say happy Christmas, happy New Year, happy Chinese New Year, and I'll see you in March.
Would you like to perhaps say a few words regarding the Thailand retreat, which everyone can join?
Oh, right. So the Thai retreat is from the 3rd to the 10th of December, and Bita has the particulars. And the folk in Thailand it's an in-person retreat, but also on Zoom. So they've been very generous, and they've just opened it up to anyone who wants to join. And there's the blurb. There you go. And they've tried to set it up where different time zones can participate. So please, you're welcome to join at any time that works for you. And the retreat is in Pak Chong, about 3 hours north of Bangkok, in a resort that they rent. And maybe someday you can go there in person. It's a really cool place. Yeah. Okay.
So before we let you go, Luang Por, on behalf of everybody, we'd like to offer our sincere gratitude and also seek for forgiveness throughout this whole year as we attend this session. If we have not been mindful in our words and our actions as well as our thoughts, and we haven't been good students, we seek for your forgiveness.
You've been great students.
And that we wish you all the best and a safe trip to Thailand and also the long retreat during the winter. But before that we would see you during Christmas at the retreat. We sincerely offer our support in any way that we can to yourself and to the good Sangha and to Serena, that you may be kept in good health and well cared for, and that your well-being is of our utmost concern.
Thank you. That's very generous. Shall we finish with the Metta Sutta? This is what should be done.
Yes.
Can you get that up? Yeah.
Yes, I will. And we take the opportunity to also dedicate the Metta Sutta to everybody and to those who are supporting the recovery of the economy and to get the borders opened.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature, not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Okay, bye, bye. Be well. Are there any other questions?
No, no more hands up.
Okay.
No more. Yes, so we should perhaps allow you to take some rest. Luang Por, you'll have a very long weekend. I think there's going to be celebration this weekend.
Yeah, we celebrate. Are we? I don't know. They organize everything. I just sort of show up. Okay. Should we finish with something or chant or?
Yes. Can we chant the words on loving kindness, please?
Yes, let's do that. That's a good idea. Always good. Oh, yeah. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be at ease, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born. May all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Okay. Namaste, everyone. Be well.
Thank you, Luang
See you
Por.
next time.
Let's all bow 3 times together. First bow. Second bow. Third bow.
All right. Ciao.
See you in 2 weeks, Luang Por.
2 weeks time. Okay. Bye. See you.